Hello, this is Caede, your guide. You have arrived at Miyajima Island in Seto Inland Sea. The landscape of Miyajima is one of the most iconic landscapes in Japan, along with Mount Fuji. Let's take the ferry and go to Miyajima right away. Before starting our visit, I'd like to introduce you to the island of Miyajima and its specialties. Miyajima is an island in the Seto Inland Sea with a circumference of 30 kilometers. For more than 1,300 years, the only way to get here has been by boat. This is because it is a holy island. Miyajima has long been the object of worship of nature cult for the locals, which started because of the general appearance of the island and Mount Misen, the mountain that rises in the center of the island. Then, in 593, the Itsukushima Jinja shrine was built on the present site by a powerful family who ruled the Miyajima area at that time. Later, the shrine was rebuilt into its present form, and many members of the imperial family and the nobility, including the emperor himself, began visiting the shrine. Since Miyajima was considered a holy island, even priests and monks were not allowed to live here and had to purify their bodies before landing on the island for rituals. As the faith of Miyajima spread among the population, the number of worshippers and opportunity to gather increased. Thus, at the end of the Kamakura period, priests and monks came to live on the island. Then officials and inhabitants gradually settled, and from here this city was born. Death and bleeding are considered cursed in Shintoism, so childbirth and funerals were forbidden in Miyajima. Thus, even today, there are no graveyards here. There are currently about 1,600 inhabitants, and the island has a primary and a secondary school, but no high school. That is why many inhabitants use the ferry often. There is only one clinic that is both general and surgical. So if you get sick, you have to go to the town on the other side of the island. There are no big supermarkets or convenience stores that you can find everywhere in Japan. So life may be a bit difficult. That's why the number of residents is decreasing every year. There are also no traffic lights on the island. This ferry is a car ferry and can take cars, but only those of the residents. There are few parking places for tourists, so cars are parked in the parking lot of Miyajima-guchi before boarding the ferry. The island is not very big, so you can easily get around on foot. Miyajima was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1996, combining the cultural heritage of the Itsukushima Jinja Shrine with the rich natural heritage of the pristine forest of Mount Misen. You will see all this when you arrive at the ferry terminal in Miyajima. In fact, Hatsukaichi City, where Miyajima is located, and Mont Saint-Michel in France are twin cities. They have a lot in common. Both are World Heritage Sites They are seemingly floating on the sea, and both have more than 1,000 years of history as holy places. When you arrive in Miyajima and leave the ferry terminal, you are greeted by deer. The 600 or so deer on the island are wild deer and are considered to be messengers of the Itsukushima Shrine. Today, the deer are well protected and healthy. Please do not give them human food. They roam freely on the island, sometimes lining up in front of stores like this one. And you can even take a picture of them with a big torii gate. The Itsukushima Jinja Shrine is built on the sea, so you can see different landscapes depending on the tide. Check the tide table on the Miyajima website. It is said that if the water level is lower than 100 centimeters, you can walk up to the Otori, the big torii gate. And if the water level is higher than 250 centimeters, the whole gate seems to float in the sea. There are two ways to walk from the ferry terminal to the Itsukushima Shrine: walking along the beach or by crossing the shopping street. Since we are here, let's walk along the Omotesando shopping street and have a look at the food and handicrafts of Miyajima. You may have seen raft in the water from the ferry before coming to Miyajima. They are oyster farming rafts. Hiroshima Prefecture is the largest oyster producer in Japan. Hiroshima accounts for about 60% of the country's production. The waves in Hiroshima Bay are calm because of the many rafts crossing many islands, and the rivers carry nutrients. Together with the moderate salinity and abundance of plankton, this is an ideal environment for oyster growth. It is said that they have been consumed since the Jobon period, and that oyster cultivation began here around 1532, nearly 500 years ago. Obviously, the best thing to do is to have some raw oysters, but you should also try the grilled and fried oysters and oyster rice. Hiroshima oysters are bigger and tastier than oysters from other countries. I love oysters too. And if you have a sweet tooth, don't forget to try a momiji manju. These baked cakes are shaped like autumn leaves called momiji. Traditional momiji manju is made by mixing flour, eggs, syrup, and sugar, baking the dough in the shape of momiji, and filling it with red bean paste. There is a place in Miyajima called Momiji Valley, which is famous for its autumn leaves. It is said that the momiji manju was born in 1906 as a result of a request of a certain ryokan to make momiji-shaped cakes. You can find different flavors today, including chocolate, cheese, and custard. So even those who don't like red bean paste can find something they like. You can buy them per piece, so don't hesitate to try. When you follow the path, you will see a very large shamoji, a rice spatula, which is a tool for serving cooked rice. Most shamojis are now made of plastic, and you will find one in every Japanese household. Because rice is our staple food, But why is there such a large shamoji on display in Miyajima? It is said that at the end of the 18th century, when there was no important industry yet, a monk in Miyajima encouraged the inhabitants to make shamojis from the trees of the island, similar in shape of the biwa, a musical instrument held by goddess Benzaitan, and to sell them as souvenirs to visitors of the island. Later, it was said that eating rice served with a Miyajima shamoji was good luck, and so it became famous in Japan. Even today, Miyajima is the largest producer of udon shamoji in Japan. The shamoji with various wishes on them, such as victory or prosperous business, are now sold in souvenir stores as handicrafts. I've been waiting for you at the end of Omotesando in front of the big stone gate. Be careful not to have your food taken from your hand by the deer when you eat outside.